Welcome to the 11th lesson of the Creative Prayer Book. I'm Eric Scott, and for the last 10 weeks, I've been hosting this free online workshop, and it's coming to an end. I have today's lesson and then one more lesson next week, and then I'll follow it up with kind of a wrap-up video. So only 2 lessons left. So today is going to be about embellishing text. So remember, I've been working in this little book, creating a book of creative affirmations, and I've been using text over the last few weeks. And last week, I was using what was I using last week? It kind of all runs together after a while, but we've been stenciling text, we've been writing text, we've been using found text, and then I guess last week was drawn text. So here's an example of using the found text. So I want to go back to some of this text here, these words, and I want to embellish them. To embellish means to decorate, to make them more decorative, to make them stand out, to kind of bling them up, if I'm not too dorky using that word. So especially on something like this, the word start, the word you, and the word are kind of fade into the background. So I might want to pick those out. The other thing is that even with things where I have already embellished, because we talked about this already, about thickening the lines and the shapes of the letters, I might go around and embellish these in some other way. So I've already talked a little bit about embellishing, whether it's outlining with watercolor pencil and letting it bleed into the background to make the letters stand out, or like I said, thickening. Here's that drawn text. So I might go back and do something with that. So there's a lot of things that I could do. I even embellished filling in some of the stencils when I did that the first week. So talked a little bit about embellishing already whenever I've done some of the other lessons, but today is really about going back and looking at the text and trying to figure out how I can make it better, make it kind of stand out more. So I only have a few items today, a few materials. I've got some Uni Posca markers, and I've just gotten into using these, and these have been pretty good. They're pretty opaque. They're a paint marker, and they're supposed to be permanent once they dry. They're pretty opaque, so they cover pretty well. I have my Uniball Vision pens, and I really like these. That's what I did here. I've used them a lot. And then I also have a metallic Sharpie. I might not use them all today in the lesson, but I do plan on using them. So using these items, I'm going to embellish the text a few ways. So the very first way is to think about maybe outlining the text. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start right here where I am, and I want to outline. So I'm going to use a nice thin black pen. So I've already used the red pen to actually embellish before and thicken, but maybe I want that to stand out even more. So by using my pen, I can carefully outline, go around the text. So that's probably one of the most basic ways of embellishing. And I just, take my time, go around carefully. And with these cursive letters, I'm going to go around and go around the outside first, and then come back and do the inside loops. And that outlining is really going to help, especially right here where the 2 L's are, because they were kind of blending into the background. So already just those thin outlines make that word tell stand out a little bit more. So I'm just going to continue this and finish up these. And that quickly I've got the words outline. So these are very simple thin lines. If I wanted to, I could go back and thicken up the lines a little bit. That would help them stand out even more. But outlining is one of the basics, and I could do that with any kind of text, any kind of word. So here I have my cursive, but I could do it almost anywhere else. So that's one way to think about embellishing text. Another way, and I'm going to use my Unipasto markers. Oh, if I can figure out how to open them up. All right, so another way, I'm going to go back to one of my first pages, actually that start where you are. So this start where you are, like I said, these three words don't really stand out. So now I'm going to embellish by using an opaque marker. So the Sharpie would work really well if I wanted to give it a metallic look. So I think I'm going to use the red. Okay, and these are paint markers, so you always want to make sure that you shake them up. And what I'm going to do is to just go over top of the letters. So I'm going to I'm going to count on the opaque nature to some degree. All right, so it's not totally opaque. That's all right. So what's happening is that the marker is picking up some of the ink. So even though the Uniball Vision pens are waterproof and fade proof, they can blend, they can bleed a little bit. And that could be kind of interesting. And so I'm just going over the letters, really making them thick. And do the same thing down here. So this is an example where sometimes things don't go exactly the way you had thought they would, the way you had it planned. So I was really thinking that these Posca markers would just write right over top of the ink and not lift it up and not show it. But I was a little wrong, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my my pen, and I'm going to do something to help those letters stand out. So they stand out a lot more now. I mean, they're darker, they're thick. Well, not darker, they're thicker. And so that makes them stand out, but I really want them to stand out even more. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to box it in. So by drawing a rectangle around the word, that helps to focus it. But then the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to outline the letter. So very similar to the way I did in that first example. So I outline it. And that's going to make the letters stand out even more. So a lot of times with embellishing, it's really about making whatever it is stand out. Okay, so I could just leave it like that, but then I'm going to fill in and color in the rectangle. The nice thing is I don't have to be super neat about this. I don't have to fill in every single little space. Okay, I don't know if that's really any better. Maybe if I use a little bit more of the pen, the marker, maybe that can cover up. Okay, so didn't quite turn out the way I'd hoped, but I can kind of work on it, maybe make it stand out a little bit more. But like I said, that sometimes things just don't turn out the way you had hoped. Maybe what I'll do is once that dries, maybe the metallic will be better. I know sometimes the metallic markers are really opaque. So anyway, I guess I should have experimented a little bit before I had tried that. But again, you never know until you try. So I'll let that dry and I'll come back to it later. The last way I want to kind of show embellishment is to, I guess it's a form of outlining, but it's something that I like to do. Maybe I'll do it here. Let me see. No, I think I'm going to do it here. So I'm going to use my Uniball pen, and I'm going to outline, but I'm not going to go right up on the letters like I did before. What I want to do is actually go around and leave some space and go up and then down and then up. Now where the letters are really close together, I just keep going. Okay, and then that way it's going to tie that whole word together. I'm going to go up and around the D. And then down. And then down, around, and up. Oh, I just smeared it. Oh well. One of the dangers of using the pen is that sometimes it smears. And then I can even fill in, do a little bit of outlining in around the inside as well. Okay, just gives it a little different look. It's just something a little bit different. And I could do every word, or I could just pick out one word. Maybe I'll just leave the word need like that. And so I can embellish in lots of different ways. So take some time this week. Think about how you might embellish the words in your book, maybe to highlight certain words or pick them out or make them stand out more. But play around with that. You can use marker, pen, pencil. You can even use paint. You can really use any material that you want. But try and experiment with that. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I've got one more lesson left. And it's going to be kind of talk about how we might wrap up some of these pages and kind of finish them off. And we'll talk about that next week. And then we'll do a wrap-up video, and I'll flip through and show all the pages and talk about it a little bit. And but that kind of wraps it up for this week. So thanks so much for joining me once again. I hope you're really getting something out of this series. And as always, happy creating.